Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of what was going to be Fundamentalist Fails, but is not anymore. And you might be going, "Hey, Mark, what are you doing? Like, why is this suddenly changed?" To be honest with you, I really wanted to talk about the election victory speech by our the imminent prime minister, the one that has just been elected. And I was talking to my wife, and she said, "Well, why can't you?" And I'm like, "Damn right, this is my show, isn't it?" So sorry about that, people. I'm going to talk about what I want to talk about, and this is something that I do want to do. So for today, and I think this is a good idea. I think that sort of we talk about usually it's fundamentalist fails. Usually it's sort of this is how religion is absolutely shafting the common man, and it's shafting the atheists and shafting anybody with an alternative lifestyle other than the religion. It's horrifically impacting people like the gay community, like the trans community. It's all I feel like occasionally we just need to remind ourselves that we're actually making progress in this, the sphere of cultural and societal reform. And I think um, I think that it really is that if I do nothing but doom and gloom, I kind of feel bad, So I wanna highlight some of the successes that I find. So this is secular success, where somebody secular has done something to further the cause of, um, religious freedom. I guess including the freedom to not be religious, to promote equality, to promote secular values, basically. The idea that no matter what religion you are, or even if you have no religion, that we're all equal. That because don't get me wrong, secular is not the same as atheist, right? Atheist is sort of a God does not exist, it's just a belief position. Secular is something more. It's basically the idea that institutions should be religion independent. Like they shouldn't cater to one religion, and it shouldn't cater to just atheists. It should be religion independent. And that is a just like it is race independent and sex independent. It doesn't cater for one sex. If somebody is asexual, they're perfectly welcome in that institution. So this is what we're talking about with secular. And it's really important to understand that, because religious people will use secular and atheist interchangeably. They're like, "Oh, this secular thing," and they're talking about atheism. No, it's not the same thing. Okay, secular just means religion independent. Atheism means you don't believe in God. They're kind of not even in the same category, because one's on a belief position and one is on sort of a way that institutions are constructed. But it's great to see you all. So welcome. This is going to be a happier one. So instead of hassling religion, we're going to look at what I want to look at, because it's my show. So I wanted to look at this, and I wanted to share it with you all. This was, and really what I want to do is point out there's a lot of things said during this that you probably won't understand if you're not Australian. Like, and a lot of digs at certain, well, not digs, but signaling to, say, the Trump government of what they won't do and what their priorities are, and sort of saying, "Hey, this is what we want to do." So a lot of it kind of, or some of it needs explanation. But the big question that came up for me, and so I sort of, is the new prime minister an atheist? That's the question that sort of occurred to me the other day. Maybe is the question. So he's very private about religion, which I respect. He can be private about religion. I don't force people to share their religion with me. That's okay. If you want to be private about it, you be private about it. That's fine. He has called himself a cultural Catholic and a non-practicing Catholic. It's interesting that Richard Dawkins called himself a cultural Christian as well. So, he's very clear that I think he does respect his Catholic roots. So he grew up, went to a Catholic school, that kind of thing. So I think ostensibly he has a background of being Catholic, but however, I don't think he really practices any religion anymore. Whether he believes in God, well, he wants to keep that private. I respect it. Go for it. But that's the whole point. Secular doesn't mean that you don't believe in a God, right? That's not what secular means. It means if you do have a God belief, you don't bring that into the institution in which you are currently serving, essentially, or you're working in, or what you're doing. Like science is secular, right? It doesn't mean it's atheistic. It just means it's secular, and that's obviously it starts with methodological naturalism, so it has to be observation of natural things. Um, Yeah, I think that, we don't know whether he believes in a God or not. He's not willing to share that. I would guess, if I was forced to guess, I would probably say not. Because he kind of says, well, to me, Catholic or cultural Christian and non-practicing Christian or Catholic usually means that no, or they're probably agnostic atheist is probably how or agnostic is probably how I'd define him. But that's up to him. He could very well believe in a God and just not be thrilled with Catholicism and not practice it anymore. That's fine. I don't know, but it doesn't really matter. It's Yeah, and Jess, that's a very good point. Jess is from Australia. It's very complicated. Catholics are both associated with the ex-convict Irish working class and the alt-root bigots. Absolutely, yeah. The Catholicism is kind of very, very large in Australia. It is the largest denomination, unlike America, the United States, where it is evangelicals that are the largest denomination. It has some funny effects that ripple down throughout the country. For instance, the some of the hospitals here, they've got a history of being Catholic. So some of the hospitals will do like they'll do a reversal of a vasectomy, for instance, but they won't do the vasectomy. So it's really, really odd, that they will do this, and they of course have positions on birth control and things, but they're not that huge. Christians in general only account for something like 43% of the population. Atheists and no religion is like at 41 or 42. So essentially, it's almost even between Christians and non-believers in Australia. Very, very secular country, and you'll probably see a lot of that. But I think it comes down to um, the yes, I that song just ran through my head. If you're unfamiliar, it's a Monty Python song out of, I think it was The Meaning of Life that it was in, where the Catholics are doing a song about why they won't use condoms. Yeah, okay, that you just put that song in my head. Thank you, thank you. Um, so yeah, I'll get into it, and I really wanted to show this. I really want to show this because this is actually, I think, an amazing, amazing speech. Um, yeah, so they do claim a religious category that they're sort of in a spiritualist one. The the Aboriginal cultures, they don't really have gods as such, right? So we've got to stop thinking about the Western sort of modality of, oh, well, there are gods and things like that. So um, the closest that Aboriginal people have is kind of an animism almost, but a spiritual animism. So they believe in the dream time, which is sort of the time before um, you know modern times, and the rainbow serpent, and there's various spirits, but there isn't any gods. So it's similarity to the sort of Native American religions is surprising, but um yeah, they do share a lot of the sort of spiritual customs around Alex, like the rainbow serpent's pretty well ubiquitous, and the rainbow serpent is the closest you'll find to a god who gives the dreaming, but it's not it doesn't really transfer that well into um, you know Western ideas of religion. So it is more like animism than it is like some kind of religion. But I respect it. They've got customs. They have some really beautiful customs actually. That they do. So yeah, I respect it. I try to respect all religions, but yeah. Yeah, that's true. It is, but it kind of is like the rainbow serpent isn't going around, changing any miracles or something. I think the rainbow serpent would not fulfill my definition of a god because it doesn't actually like it's so the thing is the spirits are only responsible for natural things that occur kind of things. They're kind of an explanation of natural things. None of them go round and really change anything. As far as I know, they don't. You know, I don't know. It's kind of there's no real miracles going on or anything. The most they have is I think Kangaroo did something, but it's very vague as to how they did it. So yeah, it depends, and there's a whole bunch of stories and legends and things like that. It's I mean, I love mythology. Actually, I was talking to Deviant Outcast. I've got to have her on because I love. I don't know why. It's just mythology's really cool to me. I love Greek mythology. She's an Egyptologist, so yeah, I really am interested. So what I will do is get this up. Gasoline was God? Are you talking about Mad Max? Look, like, don't forget, Mad Max is set after a nuclear war. So, after nuclear war, it may very well be God, but that has not happened. I'll let you know when the nuclear war happens if you do miss it. All right, just saying. Mm. So the reason why, um, it's sort of gas is God kind of thing. It's Thunderdome. Okay. Um, so Australia's a weird place. It's basically um, the distances that we have to travel are the same reasons. Um, yeah, that they haven't have they nuked each other? Did I miss something? I didn't really check the news on them this morning. I think China's gonna. Yeah, they haven't launched any nukes yet, though. That would make me very, very, very nervous, and I'm sure China will go absolutely ape crap if somebody launches one of those. Um, so yeah, I was watching In Time the other day actually, and it was just, it's just a matter of time. Yeah, I don't think so. No, look, India and Pakistan have had these kind of conflicts before, and they're very aware that China's right next to them. Because don't forget, Pakistan and India border China, and China absolutely does not want, you know, nukes flying through the air. They really do not, as you'd expect. Imagine if um, Canada and Greenland were firing nukes at one. No, 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 no. Like that would be absolutely unacceptable. Someone launches one of those off, forget it. They're so the thing you've got to remember is that with the nuclear non-nuclear proliferation treaty, um, it basically means that anybody that launches off a nuke is going to be sanctioned into the ground, right? So it's not just, hey, their neighbors don't like it. It is they will no longer be accepted into world trade. Like somebody does that, they can kiss their trading with anybody else goodbye. Okay, then we're not going to accept people firing off weapons of mass destruction. Okay, think about all that Russia's been doing, right? They haven't fired one off. Okay, not because it's going to be a response, but the response will mean that no one will deal with you again. The absolute um capitulation of any kind of international relations is almost not worth it because that is what will happen. Yeah, yeah. Anyway, but I'm not here to talk about depressing stuff between look, China, India and Pakistan have been at each other's throats for centuries. They've had these kind of stuff before, and it has not devolved into full out war. Hopefully, we can sort of get a some kind of peace deal between them. It has worked before. The really, I see this situation in India as being eerily close to what happened in Israel Palestine, right? Um, but so what's happened is there's been in Kashmir, which is a sort of a contested province, there was an attack by essentially terrorists on um, tourists, Pakistani tourists, and a guide kind of thing. Um, sorry, Indian tourists and an Indian guide, and they were all killed. So um, India basically said, well, the state of Pakistan sponsors these people. Pakistan denies it, but they said they sponsored these people. They're responsible for it and attacked them. So it's just this whole thing of a terrorist attack and then a response by a larger nation. And here we are. It's just ridiculous. Admittedly, Israel was a bit different. Obviously, it was Hamas, and Hamas was the government in charge of Palestine. But the idea that you can use war to see the link above. Okay, that link. Give me one sec. Is that the link you're talking about? All right. Hey, Andrew. Kashmir. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Kashmir. Why? What did I say? Didn't I say Kashmir? Yeah, and I mean it's been like that for quite some time. Um, Yeah, hopefully it'll be okay. But I want to talk about happier stuff today. I want to talk about Australia. I want to talk about where I am, and I want to give people hope and try to explain the Australian perspective of things because I think that to a certain degree, Americans don't get outside their own country much. No, 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 that's fine. Thank you, Joe. I really appreciate it. Um, thank you. Um, I think that seeing some other perspectives is a really good idea, and I want to explain what this speech means and what is going on in it. So first off, the first thing I have noticed, and I want to talk about this. The first thing I have noticed is that um, what's the difference between US and Australia? And as far as sort of political stuff is concerned, look, politics may bore you. I'm not fussed. I get it. It kind of sucks, but this is actually really inspiring. So I wanna talk about it. But the leader of any democratic country should be the servant of the people. If you ask the leader of Australia who he serves, almost unanimously it would be the Australian people. Absolutely. like they serve the interests of the people always. I feel like if you ask Trump who he serves, he would say no one. And that's a problem. That's a massive problem because he is supposed to be serving the people of the country. Now I'm just going to start the video and we'll have a look at it and sort of I want to explain what these certain things mean and what is being spoken about. Oh, this is Penny Wong. She is she's fantastic. She is a stalwart of the government. She's our foreign minister, so she deals with relations between other countries. She's been amazingly successful, awesome person, takes no crap, by the way, absolutely takes no crap from anybody. Fantastic person. Penny Wong's awesome. I mean, she can be a bit acerbic at times, a bit acidy, you know, like a bit, you know, she can say some pretty snippy things at times, but you know, um, she's fantastic. She's been working forever in the Senate. She's awesome. Okay, so look how embarrassed she is. So this is the thing you'll notice in Australia, right? If somebody starts chanting someone's name like this, they'll be like, no, 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 don't chant my name. This was a group effort kind of thing. Like they're all aware that there is no one person that makes up the party. There's no one person that makes up the country. Like Australians are like, if you start chanting somebody's name, they'll be like, no, 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 no. And look how embarrassed she is.
Thank you, friends. Thank you all. Thank you for believing in Labor. Thank you for believing in the power of this great nation.
Don't do it, Pedro. Don't do it, man. I'm telling you, it's like singing happy birthday at a restaurant. It's just like, no, 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 no. Look, save that for your sporting team, mate. Like, go chant at the footy. Look, and it's important to understand, Labor is the progressive or the left-wing party of Australia. So we've got two parties, Liberal and Labor. Now, Liberal are the Conservative Party. I know that's confusing, but they are the Conservative Party. What Liberal used to be like is the Democrats, essentially. You know, they were all about big business. They were all about sort of, you know, sort of liberal values. Recently, in the few years, that they've been moving to the right. Okay, they've been moving steadily to the right, and it's kind of been the prime minister before Albanese was Scott Morrison, or ScoMo as we called him. He was a religious, what was he? Pentecostal, right? So, and they have very right wing views. So we've got this shift to the right of this party, and it has not gone well for them because it's not reflective of how the um of how the actual population is. And yeah, it kind of is that people are sort of going, no, we don't want extreme right wing here. So it's important to realize that while I'm talking about Liberal as the Conservative Party, it is not the same as the Republicans. Okay, it is not the same. It is that they've shifted to the right towards where the Republicans would be, but there's still some fairly moderate people there, and they've got to get moderate people back, or else they are really never going to get up from this. They've been absolutely spanked, absolutely spanked.
The power in our 26 million people from more than 300 ancestries.
So there she's talking about sort of more than 300 ancestries as sort of, you know, all of the different cultures or ethnic origins of people in Australia, which is awesome.
And from the oldest continuing civilization on the planet. And I acknowledge the traditional owners. Friends.
Okay, so there she's talking about the Aboriginal cultures around Australia. It is the longest surviving culture on the planet, estimated at about 65,000 years. Okay, this is what you've got to understand about Australia. It is old, real old. The country's old. The Aboriginal culture is really, really freaking old, and it survives to this day, which is incredible. And sort of, you know, hey, look, my ancestors tried to stamp out that culture, and luckily they weren't successful. Why, like today, and in a modern mindset, we see a culture that's lasted for 65,000 years. Of course, we preserve that culture, right? That's something that has lasted and been timeless for ages. Like, why wouldn't we preserve that culture?
Friends, we love this country. We love this country, and representing it to the world is the honour of my life. Because of who we are and what we strive to be. A nation that stands on its own 2 feet, that invests in the aspirations of all of its people, and a nation of courage and of kindness.
Right. So, nation of courage and of kindness. Yeah. Yeah, so that's sort of, you know, with what's happening in the US, it's weird that Trump sort of says he'll bring respect back to the office of the president, because the rest of the world, we we are horrified. I mean, we are absolutely horrified at what's going on. So, you know, it's really weird that all of these promises made by Trump, one of them was like, "Oh, we'll bring respect back to the US." No, no. He needs to learn the difference between fear and respect. Like, seriously, the man does not understand that if people are afraid of you, that is not respect. Like, he needs to actually get a crash course in what respecting people means, because he doesn't understand it. I don't know what is wrong with that man, but you know, he thinks that respect is when people are afraid of you. It's kind of the respect that a mob boss demands. You know, people respect me. No, they're afraid of you. They don't respect you. There's a big difference.
I saw this purpose and these principles in our campaign across the country. Our hardworking candidates, the thousands of Labor volunteers in every state and territory, in every community, working for a better future. Friends, 3 years ago, the Australian people made a collective decision to turn the page and write a new future for ourselves. Tonight.
Someone shouts out her name. She's so embarrassed. I like Penny. She's really, really cool. I really like her. I mean, I don't have a chance. Look, and full disclosure, I didn't even vote for these guys. Straight up, I didn't vote for them. Like, this is the thing. I voted for an independent in my seat. That's who I voted for as number one. But in my seat, Labor were never going to win anyway. I would like, so this is the thing you've got to understand, that when you have preferential or ranked choice ballots, right? You can go, okay, well, I want to vote for this independent, but I don't mind if Labor gets in, I'll put them second, right? Which is exactly, actually, did I put them second? I think I did put them second. I think I did, but I definitely didn't vote for them as my first choice. But it's okay. We can do that over here. We can just go, hey, I want to vote for my local member who's been really good over the last few years. And you know, I prefer Labor over the more conservative Liberal. Sure, we can do that. I don't understand why we wouldn't reform our systems to be better. Like, you know, look, big salute to the founding fathers. The American Constitution is one of the greatest documents ever written, and that is not up for debate. It is amazing how prescient and thoughtful and sort of aware of where power and authority comes from the people that wrote that document was. Okay, there's no question how great a document it is. It isn't perfect. Okay, it isn't, because there's massive problems coming. And you know, the founding fathers in America, they weren't fortune tellers. They couldn't see down the line to see, hey, if we say that everyone can be armed, there's now assault rifles out there. You know, they had no knowledge of this. They were just men, or just human. They couldn't see into the future. And when you're talking about, hey, we've come up with this new system, which is a ranked choice where we can make it so much fairer, you know, I don't see why we can't implement that everywhere. It's a better system. I think the founding fathers put in that the constitution could be changed and the systems could be changed because they knew things would change. Absolutely amazing document, though, the Constitution, no doubt. If you've ever read the Australian Constitution, it is a tragedy. It is horrible. It's a terrible, terrible document. Okay, this is the thing. Technically, the Queen's in charge and the armies are controlled by the Governor General. It's an awful document. It really is. But generally, Australians, there's a thing in Australia which is convention is stronger than law, and that is true. If people want something, by crikey, you better do it, because we will get very, very upset. And an upset Australian is not something you want to see. It is pretty horrible. Yeah, they didn't know a tyrant would come, but look, it's not guns that stops tyranny necessarily, right? It's not guns that stop them necessarily. Um, the army is quite, and the armed forces are quite capable of stopping a tyrant, right? The armed forces do not swear to any president. They don't swear to any. Ours don't swear to a prime minister. They swear to the Constitution. Ours swear to the people. The armed forces protect the people, not the leader, right? That's an important thing to note about democracy. Like I get that in practice, day to day, yeah, the president's the commander in chief, but really the role of the armed forces is to protect the people, whether that be from external threats or internal threats. That is what they're there for. Um, it has been noted by many people that um, armed uprising is one thing, and I get what you mean, like, you know, without guns in you. Um, but you know, look at what Gandhi did without firing a single shot. Just not like, if the people en masse decide that their government will change, there is not a lot the government can do. Even if, like, just say everybody went on strike in the entire country, right? Everybody goes on strike. Everybody refuses to work. Everybody. Could you imagine the abs, like, you know, you've got an army. Okay, who feeds them? Who feeds the army? Are you really going to tell the army to turn their weapons on their own people? Well, you better hope that army is, you know, following you and not listening to the people. Because if you tell them to turn their weapons on the people and they don't want to, who's going to make them? Right? Who's going to make them? Yeah, and that is true. That is true. Two, when emotionally manipulated and divided. Yeah, absolutely. And that's by intention. They divide everybody into bits and pieces, so they will not work with one another. It's yeah. Imagine when you realize the government is you. No, 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 Cherry. There's okay. So there's the nation. That's sort of the political um, entity of the entire country, plus all of the government, plus all of the people. It is the entirety, right? Then you've got the state. The state is all of the official political apparatus, including all of the bureaucracy, the police, the all of the institutions that control all the apparatus of the nation, right? So that's the state. So the government is just the executive branch of the state, right? So yeah, okay, well, yeah, I mean, yeah. I sorry, Jess. Somebody said that the government is me, and the government definitely isn't me. I'm not in the executive branch of the state. No, by definition, I am not the government. So, but we've got to realize that in all cases, absolute power is with the people. In all democracies, absolute power is with the people. But the secret is that in all states, all nations, the executive power, the supreme executive power, or the actual absolute power is always with the people. Now that can be the consent of the people can be manufactured, as Noam Chomsky famously pointed out. I believe that's incredibly true, that it can be manufactured, or it can be compelled by violence. But it always has to be gained from the people. Because if the people won't support you, if the people won't feed your armies, if the people won't, at least in some part, support what you're doing, you are done, right? There's the military as it is, it needs so much support from civilian sectors. It cannot operate without it. Yeah, I mean, it's a social construct, Jerry. It's a social construct. So just like any of these institutions that are so prevalent, it's a social construct. But that doesn't mean it's useful. It's incredibly, the law's a social construct, but it's incredibly useful and does a lot of good.
Together, we start the new chapter. And we will write this next chapter so all Australians are part of our nation's story. No matter who we are or where we come from, no matter age or gender, no matter the lottery of birth, Australia's opportunity is for us all.
Yeah, I think by now, like, Trump would have shut down this government for DEI infringements, to be honest with you. Like, seriously. I mean, even Penny here, like, she has been amazing, and you know, you'd probably call her a DEI hire, and it's like, oh, go fuck off, mate. Like, seriously. She's been awesome.
And friends, that Australian story is embodied by our Australian Prime Minister. A man who shows what real strength is. A man of courage.
Yeah, and that's true. Real strength is not bullying your mates. Like, real strength is not kicking somebody when they're down. Real strength is saying, hey, I can give you respect. Like, this is the thing. Like, you know, I dread to think what Trump thinks strength is. What people like Modi in India thinks that strength is. What Netanyahu thinks that strength is. What Putin thinks is strength. You know, you know, the idea that a woman can't be strong enough to run a country or run a company is bullcrap. You know, Angela Merkel has been amazing for Germany, and Germany's a massive country. I think it's absolutely anybody that's saying, hey, a woman can't do that job. Well, a woman was doing Chancellor of Germany. Like, what are you talking about? And she did a fantastic job. When we're not looking at, you know, who can beat their chest. It doesn't matter. Effective is effective. It doesn't matter whether you've got anything between your legs or not, or how you're presenting yourself. You could have a rubber chicken on your head and you can still be an effective leader. That's fine. I don't care. All right? As long as you're effective. And she was damn effective. So, I mean, under Angela Merkel, she basically helped reunite the entire EU, which is now it's making trade agreements with China. It's going to be a powerhouse. An absolute powerhouse. Like, America's cutting ties with China and sort of stopping trade and restricting trade with China while EU's opening it up. What do you think's going to happen there? Whew.
A man of compassion, a leader with a conviction of who we are and what we can be. A leader with a conviction that builds Australia's future. Friends, some might want to mimic the worst of other countries.
Yeah, some might want to mimic the worst of other countries. Sorry, US, this is pointing straight in your direction.
Albo always backs what's best about our country.
And this was a dig at Peter Dutton, who was the guy running against Anthony Albanese. He had sort of a very, not Trump style. He wasn't as bad as Trump, who was just, insulting and demeaning and things like that. But he really had some policies that really looked like Trump, like the government of the Office of Efficiency kind of thing he wanted to implement, and he had to walk that back because it was just received so badly because of what's happening in America. Like, the Department of Government Efficiency was not set up to make the government efficient. I think everybody knows that. It was set up to get rid of undesirables in the bureaucratic apparatus of the United States, people who they see as undesirable. That is why it was set up. Like, don't delude yourself that somehow it's making your country more efficient. Do not delude yourself. That was set up to get rid of people that Trump thought was undesirable in the apparatus of institutions in the United States. And look at how those institutions are going now. New Jersey Airport, I think it was Newark Airport, I think, just closed down for a day and lost their radar. Things are just absolutely, because he's gutted these institutions. And institutions, I might add, that the people after the war spent ages building up. They spent so much effort building up these institutions to work for the people. And now the same people that were there for the building up of these institutions are cheering as he tears them down. Like, I get you may need reform on these institutions. We're not living post-World War II anymore. I get it. But that doesn't mean you just tear them down and replace them with nothing and just let corporations run rampant across your country.
Please welcome my dear friend.
I think that's his son and his wife, maybe. I don't know. What does his wife look like? Give me a second. Look, so Anthony Albanese was the first prime minister who was a divorcee, which is so silly. You know what I mean? Like, who cares? Like, seriously, it was this big thing that Sky News was like, oh, he can't get a marriage working because we trust him. No, get lost, man. Like, I mean, it happens. That's the thing. Like, it really happens. And considering his wife at the time, his first wife turned out like she was eventually became the leader of New South Wales. So it was kind of, he was in Canberra with stuff to do. She was in New South Wales. I mean, I don't know why they split up, but like it's not this big thing, right? Like that's the thing. It's not this huge thing. Um, and nobody cares. Like, why would you care if somebody at your work is divorced? We got to stop doing this. Like, just going, oh well, you know, your lifestyle isn't my lifestyle, so I don't want to work with you. Look, we got to work with people that we disagree with. That's the reality of the situation. If you don't work with people you disagree with, yeah, I disagree on something with almost everybody. I wouldn't be working with anybody. Like we've got to stop doing this. We've got to stop ostracizing people because they just don't agree with us. And yes, I'm talking about atheists as well. Like, I'm sorry, the reality is that religion is there and it isn't going away. Like, even if atheism becomes dominant, do we really want to turn into the religious absolutists that religion has been and say, oh, no religion, you're not allowed to believe in this? No, we don't want to do that. I take a lot of great heart from Nelson Mandela, who was a great man. He had his flaws, absolutely, but he was fantastic for South Africa. And he is a guy that was locked up for almost 30 years, and he came out, and the entire country was worried that he was just going to punish white people. He was going to do the same to the white people that was done to black people in South Africa, and he didn't. He just said it's got to end somewhere, and I see the same with religion versus atheism. We cannot turn into the same thing that we have fought against all this time. We cannot turn into a majority oppressing a minority's beliefs for no reason other than we disagree. We cannot turn into that. It's not right. It's not right when they did it. It's not right if we do it. We've got to allow people to have their beliefs as long as they are not harming anybody else. I get why you would speak against institutions like the Catholic Church and like all of these. Absolutely. But we can't oppress people for their beliefs, because if an atheist should know what it's like to be oppressed for their beliefs, okay? We can't do the same to others. We can't, or else we're just as bad as them. At a certain point, we're going to have to say, like Nelson Mandela in South Africa, this has to end. It has to end, and we have to work together. So let's do that. Let's just say, hey, you're entitled to your beliefs. You're entitled to your stuff. You're not entitled to harming others, but as long as you're not harming others, have at it. Go for it.
My fellow Australians, serving as your Prime Minister is the greatest honour of my life.
Okay, so I love that he starts humble. I just feel like would I must admit though the Dutton, who I personally, I don't really like him. I really don't like him. He's very what's it? He's very sort of right wing, and I disagree with him on a lot. But his concession speech was gracious. It was gracious, and I'll give him that. He was gracious in defeat. He admitted defeat. He basically, what was weird about Dutton is he said, "I take full responsibility." That's something I've never heard out of Trump. Right? If you're comparing, conservative leaders in countries, I have never heard Trump say, "This has gone wrong, and I take full responsibility." Wow, if my mental picture of Trump would immediately change if ever I heard that, but I've never heard that. What's atheist beliefs? We believe that no God exists, or we believe, we don't believe that a God exists. One of the two. Why? That isn't atheism, Greg. That is secular humanism. That's humanism, mate, not atheism. So you're mixing terms. Okay, it isn't because I'm an atheist that a human being is worth something. It's because I'm a humanist as well. So what you're not understanding, Greg, is that a lot of Christians and a lot of Muslims and a lot of people, they express their worldview, their perception on the world in terms of one thing, their religion. Okay. And I understand that. Like there's a series of, beliefs that are structured based upon your religion. Atheists aren't like that. There's many things that I am, one of which is a humanist. It's not, I could be a theistic humanist, right? I could believe in a God and be a humanist at the same time. They're not exclusive. But it is because I'm a secular humanist that I believe that humans are worth something, not because I'm an atheist. It doesn't cover what humans are worth at all. Atheism doesn't get into that at all. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, atheists have been persecuted a lot for their beliefs throughout the years. Absolutely. Atheists are one of the least trusted demographics in the USA, and they are actually one of the demographics with the least criminality in them. They're actually one of the most trustworthy people in the USA. So the perceptions of atheists versus what actually happens out there is absolutely skewed. Absolutely skewed. Yeah, absolutely. Now I'm not sure what Anthony Albanese believes, what Albo believes. I don't know. Doesn't really matter to me. He's welcome to his beliefs, but he is a sexual humanist. Well, I hope I'm sexual. Like I'm not asexual. It's secular. But thank you. And welcome to secular success. So Albo, I mean, he basically says he's a cultural Catholic or a non-practicing Catholic. Fair call, mate. Whatever you are, even if he was religious, like you can be religious and work in a secular institution. That's fine. That's absolutely fine. As I said, there's a big difference between atheist and secular, and I think that people who have religions really have to work out the difference, because secular atheism, basically you can't be an atheist unless you don't believe in God. I'm sorry, it's an exclusive club and you're not in it if you believe in a God. It's just you can come and hang with us, but you're not an atheist. A secularist, you can be fully religious and still be a secularist, right? You can be a devout um worshipper of God and Christian, and still believe that the best thing for institutions is to be religion independent. Okay? Just like all those scientists who are religious and they do fantastic work. Well, I mean, some of them. Then again, there's some probably lousy atheist scientists out there. Just saying. But they still think science should be secular. They still think that God has no place being in the scientific process. And that's fine. That's fine. I have no problem with them.
And it is with a deep sense of humility and a profound sense of responsibility that the first thing that I do tonight is to say thank you to the people of Australia for the chance to continue to serve the best nation on earth.
Yeah, I mean, he said best nation on earth. I think that's debatable. There's certainly some things we do well. Yeah, so some things Australians do really well. There's some things we don't. Like, it's really, I think best country on earth. It's very ambiguous. Best how? You know, I like he isn't saying greatest, like Trump says it's the greatest country on earth. Yeah, I think greatest is a bit weird, but you know, I think he's just referencing Australia and saying, oh, it's the best country in the world, mate. Yeah, absolutely, best country in the world. It definitely is right up there for. It's in the. I usually don't put it in the chat because bots can scrape it. It's in the channel description. You'll just have to prove that you're not a bot. I'm not sure if you can do that, but you know. Yeah.
And I acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which
Okay. So I acknowledge the traditional owners on the land on which we stand. So this is there was a big furor about this a few years ago. Oh, why are we doing welcome to country every time there's a speech? Rah, 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 rah. Just blah, 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 blah. So that is not welcome to country. Okay, for a start, you don't know what you're talking. If anyone says that, no, you don't know what you're. That is not welcome to country. Welcome to country is used by the Aboriginal cultures to welcome people from other countries visiting Australia. That, what he just said, is acknowledgement of country. Okay, it is the acknowledgement that the country was never ceded by the Aboriginal people and was colonized, because that's what freaking happened. That is reality of what happened, and it was under a doctrine that was the doctrine of discovery. Now, doctrine of discovery, it's really important to understand what this is, because it was backed by the church, it was backed by the Catholic Church, and it was a doctrine that said, if there are no Christians in a land, that land is uninhabited. Okay, it's really important to understand that. Okay, so basically, when the doctrine of discovery said that when considering if a land is uninhabited or not, only Christians count towards a land being inhabited. Right? So they basically made a doctrine to make it so the native inhabitants didn't exist, so you could take their land for you know, yourself, through the provision that only Christians counted in the world. And that is the doctrine of discovery. If you don't believe me, look it up. It was only Christians that were counted. And it was based in part in religion. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying, hey, this is just the Christians, this is all their fault. No, it's just they legitimized a doctrine so that the aristocrats, the upper class echelon of Europe, could take whatever land they wanted. They basically they were essentially, you know, enabled by the church in order to do this. Yeah, and Locke did argue that. Look, Locke did a lot of good work. I mean, his work on the social contract was amazing, but, you know, like all those people, some of his work is terrible. I mean, Jess, I'll reference Maslow for Maslow's hierarchy, right? Maslow was fantastic on understanding what humans need in order to be satisfied and content with their lives. But he had some really, really horrible beliefs, right? He had some, you know, he believed in eugenics and sort of, you know, producing a you know, perfect race. He was horrible, but that doesn't mean all of his research was bad. It's just we've got to drop the stuff that doesn't work and then look at the stuff that does. So Locke was absolutely wrong about that. You know, they were not agricultural. They must be just basic, you know, savages that don't count as, you know, civilized people. No, we know better now. But that doesn't mean that all the work that Locke did about the social contract is wrong. You know, it just means that, hey, there's some stuff he got wrong.
And I pay my respects to elders, past, present, and emerging today and every day.
Yeah, so Albo is really on board with that. There was generated a message from the heart. I think it was a message from the heart of Uluru. It's basically a message from the elders of the Aboriginal people to us, to the white people that are here, and basically what they want, and they want more of a voice in Parliament. They feel ostracized, they feel marginalized, they feel not seen, which is fair. Because a lot of their problems are ignored, and they're focused, you know, we're focused on cities and, you know, technology and all that kind of things, and their statistics for things like infant mortality, sickness, age that they get to is absolutely atrocious. It's absolutely atrocious, and I think that it really is a plea for help, and it really gets me, and I'm so glad Ulru's statement from the heart. Yeah, so it's basically a statement from the First Nations. It was in 2017 they did it, and sort of, it's a crisis in the country, and it has to be seen as a crisis. It really does. So I'm glad that he mentioned it. And I'm glad that he's I'm glad that he's actually, so the big thing during this election was that Peter Dutton said he's only going to stand in front of one flag. Like he's only going to stand in front of one flag, the Australian flag, which if you don't know, the give me a second, and I think I can show it. Yeah, so this is a map with the Australian flag and the Aboriginal flag on it, and I love it because it sort of has both on it. To be honest with you, I think the Aboriginal flag looks freaking awesome. It actually looks really good. I think it really represents the red soil and the black sky and the sun setting. Just really Australian. I like it better than the Australian flag, but Albo sort of, he's saying this because whoop, that's not the one I want. What's the one I want? No, that's not it either. Great. So he said he'd only stand in one flag. Basically, he's not going to acknowledge the Aboriginal people, and so the the Albo's coming out and saying, no, we're not going to stop having that flag, having the Torres Strait Islander flag, as I believe he set up 3 flags behind him and sort of saying, hey, yeah, Jess, if we get rid of the Union Jack, it'll basically be the Eureka flag, right? Give me 1 second and I'll show you. So this is, the Eureka flag, right? This is the Eureka flag. This was the flag flown over the Eureka Stockade when they rebelled against the unfair sort of government in Victoria. This is the Eureka flag, and that's basically just the Southern Cross. And this is what the one that the unions use. So this is the Union flag in Australia, and so it's sort of a workers' flag. So yeah, if we get rid of the cross and just have the Southern Cross, it basically becomes. I mean, I know what you mean. It's like it wouldn't be connected and stuff, but that is that is the Southern Cross flag, is the Eureka flag. So yeah. Beds are burning. Yeah, Midnight Oil. That was a song by Midnight Oil, by the way. Saying how sort of unfair it is for the Aboriginal people in Australia, and I have to agree. I think that Midnight Oil would have kept a lot of their credibility if they actually, the main guy, Peter Garrett, I think his name was, the lead singer. He defected from the Greens to Labor, and he kind of wasn't taken seriously ever since. So, it's kind of a tragic end to Midnight Oil, that Peter Garrett went into politics, went into the Greens Party, which they sung about Blue Sky Mine and things like that, which is Blue Sky Mine, if you're unaware. This is a total tangent, by the way, so tangent time. Midnight Oil's Blue Sky Mine was about all of the workers that were working in asbestos mines that all died of cancer, right? Like this is the thing. And the company told them it was safe and, it wasn't a problem. Obviously, asbestos is a problem. But they worked in those asbestos mines with the company just lying to them. Horrible, horrible stuff.
Today, the Australian people have voted for Australian values, for fairness, aspiration, and opportunity for all.
Yeah, fair go, mate. Yeah, fairness. Yeah, yep. This is a complete rejection of the American sort of exceptionalism. Fairness. I weep for you guys. Like, when have you last heard fairness stated by a president? Let's be fair on everybody.
For the strength to show courage in adversity and kindness to those in need. And Australians have voted for a future that holds true to these values. A future built on everything that brings us together as Australians and everything that sets our nation apart from the world.
Yeah. Australians do have a lot of values like this. It's fairness, being bloody stubborn. We've got such a long history of really struggling. So,
In this time of global uncertainty, Australians have chosen optimism and determination. Australians have chosen to face global challenges the Australian way, looking after each other while building for the future.
Yeah, so this is he's basically talking about, uncertainty at the moment. When somebody says global uncertainty, they're essentially talking about the Trump government. Trump is uncertainty personified. He is chaos personified. Like the chaotic mess that is erupting from the White House is just incredible. Like it's actually phenomenal. I was talking to my wife the other day and I was sort of saying, I don't think, like, if somebody installed an agent to create chaos in America, I don't think they could have done a better job doing it intentionally. Like, I think that the amount of sheer chaos coming out, like, it is incredible. Absolutely incredible. And, he's got the misinformation Fox News saying, oh, well, don't worry about all of this stuff. But yeah, it's kind of that's what people mean when they say global uncertainty at the moment. But so Peter Dutton, the opposition leader, he was kind of running on very Trump statements. And so Anthony's basically, or Albo here is basically going, look, we choose to reject that. We absolutely choose to reject it. We are not going that way. We want stability. We want reliability, we want fairness, we want equality, all of these things that America says it's about, but doesn't actually vote someone in to give them. And I don't know why.
And to serve these values, meet these challenges, seize these opportunities, and build that better and stronger future, Australians have chosen a majority Labor government.
Yeah, so we got majority government. So everyone thought, oh, if he wins, he'll get minority government. Oh, hello, James. So good to see you, mate. I forget which state you're in, buddy. Isn't it New South Wales that you're in, mate? Best election result ever. Yeah, pretty damn good, to be honest with you. And I've got no complaints. I think that so really two visions of the future. Peter Dutton wanted to go for nuclear power. Albanese is going, well, Australia's in this position where we have opportunities to grab renewables. The amount of sunlight Australia gets, it is criminal we are not doing solar farms. It's criminal. But he's got a vision to be the energy provider of the Southeast Pacific, right? That we can make a ton of it, because just the sheer size of our country. I mean, there's places in the country that we're doing all it gets is sunlight. Like all it's got is sand and sunlight. That's all it's got. Like it is such an opportunity. It is not a disadvantage that we've got massive wide tracts of places with nothing in them but beating sun. That's an opportunity. Like, don't get me wrong. It isn't that that's a disadvantage. That's an advantage. Like that is awesome. We've got all kinds of stuff going for us. And if we can become the energy supplier for Southeast Asia, it would be amazing for us. Not this, oh, well, let's go for nuclear power and in 10 years it'll get set up and hopefully we can, I mean, come on. And Australia's expertise in certain things, like, for instance, communications technology. Why is Australia so good at communications technology? It's because we're miles away from one another. We're good at it because we have to be. Why is Australia so bloody good at drone technology? Who knows? I don't know. We just are. Yeah. Why are we so good at all of these kinds of technologies? Because we have to be. We have to find really clever ways to overcome our sheer scale of distance. Because, like, you go in the US, you drive for an hour or something, and then you get to another town. It's not like that in Australia. You can drive hours and hours and hours and see absolutely friggin' nothing. It's massive. Yeah, see, this is the thing. Like, look how embarrassed he is. People shouting his name. Like, this isn't something you do in Australia, really. It's just like, yeah, no, it's okay. Forget about it. Oof.
A majority Labor government promised and delivered.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We're absolutely good at backups. Yeah, absolutely. Contingencies are all what we're about. Like the amount of time things go arse up and Australians have a backup plan is incredible. But it's more just innovation and really clever solutions. Look, I'll tell you a story that's really sort of central to Australia. Gallipoli, when they were trying to take the Gallipoli against the Turkish troops, they actually had to pull out. So what the Australians did to cover their retreat was they set up a series of guns with water cans with water in them, like set up in a thing to fire them occasionally as the water dripped out. We set up a ruse, like just, the innovation, the cleverness of them is incredible. It's absolutely awesome.
A short time ago, I spoke with Peter Dutton, who has, of course, conceded defeat. And I thank him. No. What we do in Australia is we treat people with respect.
Okay, and that was the pivotal part of the speech for me, where I went, yeah, okay, fair call, Albo. Yeah, you're right, mate. Because I gave Dutton a lot of crap. I basically was like, yeah, he's an evil kind of thing. But yeah, I mean, I disagree with him vehemently. But Albo's right. You can't start villainizing everybody in your country because you disagree with them. You know, like, you can't just start doing that. And he's right. You know what? It takes, I'll quote Harry Potter. It takes a lot of courage to stand up to your enemies. It takes more courage to stand up to your friends. Like, and people started hassling him. He's like, no, we don't do that here. Yeah, fair call, Albo. Yeah. We treat people with respect. Fair. Fair. Can you imagine Trump doing this? Trump's the one doing all of the disrespecting, you know, calling his opponent names and stuff. It's gotten so nasty and toxic over there. Albo not only didn't do that, if someone else does it, he'll say no. You know what it reminds me of? You know what it absolutely reminds me of? It reminds me of Obama when someone started shouting at him in the crowd. And he's like, no, don't throw him out. Don't throw him out. He's allowed to have his opinion, but I'll talk to him after I do this speech, kind of thing. That's the kind of leadership. It also reminds me of McCain. What was his first name? The conservative guy, General McCain. John McCain. Yeah, John McCain. He basically was told by somebody. He was basically told by somebody, oh, Obama is an American and he's a Muslim and all of these things. He's like a secret Muslim. And John McCain went, no, that's absolutely not true. He's a good person. He's a kind person. I disagree with him on a lot of things, but you are wrong, to one of his constituents. And that's leadership, right? Saying, hey, like, I understand you feel that way, but that is factually incorrect, to your own people, is important. It's really important. We can't get into echo chambers where we're just repeating things that are not factually true. We can't do that. We've got to stand up and say, hey, no. But, you know, that's not, this is what annoys me. The Republicans know, they know that half the stuff that comes out of Trump's mouth is total bullcrap. They know. You see them dance around it when, you know, do you agree with Trump that, you know, shower pressure is really important right now? Oh, well, no, of course it friggin' isn't. Of course it's not. Like, come on, they know that half of the stuff coming out of his mouth is total bullcrap. And they just will not call him out for it because he will punish them. That's not respect. That's fear. If people respected Trump, they would correct him. And they don't. Hey, Various, good to see you, mate.
I thank Peter for his generous words at the end of what has been a very hard-fought campaign.
Yeah, as I said before, Peter Dutton, he conceded, he was gracious and said he bears full responsibility for the result. Oh, the result. Yeah. I want to show you the result too, just to show you just how bad it has been for them. This is the result. Okay, so this is the House of Representatives. They've got beaten. And don't forget, okay, so don't forget, in Australia, there's two major parties, but one of them is a combination of two. It's called the Coalition because it's the Liberal and National Party, and the ALP is the Australian Labor Party. They have doubled the coalition seats, and that's two parties working together. They've absolutely wrecked them. And the other is all the independents, right? Greens usually pick up a couple. They didn't this time round. People went moderate, absolutely moderate. And the others, the independents, which, they didn't do too badly. So, you know, that's something that, you know, that is a shellacking, an absolute spanking. And what's so weird is that Sky News, which Sky News is the Murdoch media, it is News Corp, which is same as Fox News. It's basically Fox News. They're basically saying, oh, it is close. It's not frigging close. It's not even in the ballpark of close. Not factually true. And they'll just repeat it to one another. If the Liberal Party keeps going the way that it is going and does not have a reality check, it will cease to be a party. It will fall off the perch. It will absolutely get spanked because they cannot keep going the way they're going in this country and expect to actually have success. That they're going to die. Well, yeah, but my point is, Ralph, that if they just sit around and say, hey, we didn't do that badly, it's going to be a disaster for them. They have got to sit down, think about what they've done in pushing all of the moderates out, like Turnbull and all, like Turnbull was an ex-prime minister. He was more moderate, right? He was more like, okay, I'm there for business, not so much the right-wing Christo-fascist stuff, He was just there for, he's an economic conservative, but he wasn't really a social conservative. And that's a big difference. So what's the difference? Well, an economic conservative believes in sort of privatization, business opportunities, things like that. They believe in sort of business, putting business first, essentially. A social conservative believes in all of these sort of traditional values kind of crap, like, same-sex marriage and all of this nasty stuff. So, the party has gone socially conservative and they have absolutely been spanked down.
And I want to take this opportunity to wish Peter and Kiralee and their family all the very best for their future. Now, at election time, parties and candidates ask people to make a choice. And inevitably, the campaign and the coverage is about our differences and our disagreements. That is the nature of our democracy, and it is the role of the media who serve it. But now that the Australian people have made their clear choice, let us all reflect on what we have in common. Because no matter who you vote for, no matter where you live, no matter how you worship or who you love.
So, yeah, and I love that he threw it in, who you worship. Doesn't matter. So this is sort of what we've noticed in America is that the media, and Fox News especially, divide people, and then, you're set up to fight with each other and accept these absolute idiots in your government because you don't want the other people getting their people in. It's totally divided. It's so ridiculous because then all you're doing is being exploited by one side or the other. This whole thing of divisiveness, it's got to end.
Whether you belong to a culture that has known and cared for this great continent for 65,000 years, or you have chosen our nation as your home and enriched our society with your contribution, we are all Australians.
Oh, we're being raided? Oh, okay. I don't know who the raid's from because nothing came up. But thank you, whoever you are. If someone can tell me where they're from, that would be fantastic. Okay, so maybe I can explain ranked choice. Okay. So basically you will put just say you've got 9 candidates, you'd list them as 1 to 9, right? So how they're counted is that when the ballots come in, whoever's got the least amount of, like, if someone's got over 50%, well, they're going to win, right? Like that's just a win for them. That's fine. If nobody has over 50%, so they're put in all the 1 categories. So basically the 9 parties, they'll put them all under 1. In time. Oh, thank you so much for arriving in time, people. So give a big thank you to Nick next time you see him. YouTube isn't advising me that there was a raid, but there we go. Okay, yep. Independent news and viewers okay, there it is. So thank you and welcome. So once they go all in under 1s, then the lowest one is eliminated if no one's got 50%. And those ballots that have been eliminated, the ballot goes to the number 2 on their ballot kind of thing. So it goes to all the other ones. If no one still has over 50%, the next lowest is eliminated, and then that goes to the two goes that ballot. All the twos are put in, or the threes if it was one of the other ones, right, that has already had their twos allocated, and it just goes on like that until somebody has over 50%. So ideally, maybe there'll be a couple of eliminations of lower candidates, and then somebody based upon preferences. Because don't forget, if you are the lowest and there's, you know, all of them voted 2 on, say, one of the other parties, it might just end there, right? As someone goes over that 50% mark. But if it doesn't, they just keep eliminating and doing the preferences. What it means is, if it comes down to the wire and you've got 9 candidates, it may come down to your 7th or 8th choice. But still, you're basically saying, hey, I'd prefer that guy over that one. So you still get a voice, even if your party or the next party you prefer, or the next party you prefer, or the next party you prefer isn't actually counted. Your vote still has power, because how you rank those choices means that it will just keep flowing if no one gets over 50%. So it is really good, because what you can do is say, well, I'm going to vote independent. Right? I'm going to vote completely independent. And if they don't get in, then I want to put Democrats next. If they don't get in, I want to put Greens next. If they don't get in, I want to put Libertarians or something next, and then Republicans. And so it will flow down, right? But it means you can vote for somebody independent and your vote is not wasted, because it will still be counted towards one of the major parties eventually. If one of them's going to win, it will still be counted eventually. So just say you have a Democrat versus Republican, the order you put them in will still count towards which one you get. So it's a really good system, a very, very good system. And I think Jess said something. Yeah, you need to register in the US. That is ridiculous. That is absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. You know, you gotta register what you're going to vote. In Australia, nobody knows what you vote. Nobody, right? You go into the ballot box, it's kind of got these screens up kind of thing, or, you know, they're not perfect, but they've got these screens up. You don't have to tell anybody who you vote for. You don't have to tell anybody. That's your business, right? Who you vote for. That's not the government's business, who you vote for. It's only the amount of votes that's the government's business, not who votes for what. You could live your entire life as a Greens voter and not tell anybody, and no one would ever know. It is none of anybody else's business how you vote. And you know, you'll see people ask, "Oh, are you voting for Labor?" If you don't mind telling me, they've got no obligation to tell you, and it's not this cultural. Well, you've got to, you know, do a big song and dance about who you're going to vote. No, you don't. Why? You're not obliged. You don't have to, you know, advertise who you're going to vote. You don't even have to tell the government who you're going to vote for. It's none of their freaking business. I will vote for who I want, and it's none of your business who I vote for. Oh, yeah. They do make sure you're registered. That's all. But you don't have to like register as in, you know, basically go, well, I'm a Labor voter, and, you know, I want to put my name down as a Labor voter. They do fine you if you don't vote, though. Compulsory voting. Yes, it is compulsory. Look, the social contract is basically saying, hey, we have obligations to do what the government says and follow some of their rules, and they have an obligation to protect our rights. Or, you know, we say, hey, you can't violate these rights. That's essentially, I mean, there's more to it, but that's essentially the social contract. But it's also between each other. I think as a civic responsibility, like, voting is the least you can do. It's not a big deal. The thing is that in America, they don't want people to vote, so they make it so difficult. They make it so difficult. And like, it doesn't have to be that difficult. It really doesn't. Yeah, 1% of Australians don't vote. They just cop the fine. I mean, I know that sort of, I know a person that didn't vote and just wore the fine every time. It's like, okay, cool, mate. 3%. Yeah, we call those donkey votes because in order to stuff it up, you'd have to be a donkey. Like seriously. It gets worse. It's a matter of public record how you voted in each election. Oh, that is insane. That's insane. What does it matter? What does it matter? Like, why would you do that? Is that Canada or something? Oh, is that not true? Are the Democrats the donkeys? Yeah, I mean that's their symbol is an ass, isn't it? Like, but no, isn't them that the yeah, that it is the Democrats because they're supposed to be stubborn or something. What are you talking about, Ralph? Well, didn't Australia recognise one of two parties were going to win with the most likely referendum our views and gave preferences after that? No, no, no. What are you talking about, Ralph? No. No, you can put your preferences in any order that you like. Like you can put your preferences however you want. I mean, I know I do. I mean, if you want, you can vote Greens first, even though you know they're probably not going to win the seat. You can put it that way. It doesn't matter, mate, because it just depends on like if it comes down to two parties, like if it comes down to where the preferences go, it just depends on which one you put above the other. That's all. That's all. So you can put them last and say Liberal before Labor, and that means that if it comes down to Liberal and Labor, then your preferences will flow to whichever one you had first. It's not like yeah, it's not like that. Oh, hey Jess. Yeah, we don't have write-ins. We don't have write-ins. There's no write-ins in Australia. It's just whoever's on the ballot paper. But I mean, it's not that hard to get on the ballot paper. You just form a party, and you've got to have a certain amount of signatories on it, and that's about it.
So let all of us work together to build our national unity on the enduring foundations of fairness, equality, and respect for one another.
Do you miss that, America? Respect for one another? Because I don't see a lot of it coming from the White House, and it's kind of sad. And I mean, I personally have this love-hate thing about America, about the United States of America, and I'll explain what I mean. The people that I've met from there are amazing. Like they're just such awesome people. I admire certain virtues that they do have, like sort of their willingness to strive, to achieve, to reach, and sort of um, shoot for the stars, if you will. They've got this whole thing of trying to achieve the most, be the biggest, do all of this stuff. It's really cool. But I really dislike the way they stamp each other down, the way they kick each other. It's horrible to see. It's not cool to see, Americans beating on other Americans. It's awful. It's absolutely awful.
Fellow Australians, I know the world has thrown a lot at our country over the past 3 years. I know so many of you have worked hard in the face of significant challenges, and I know there's still much more to do to help people under pressure. That is why it means so much that in these uncertain times, the people of Australia have placed their trust in Labor once again, including so many Australians who had voted Labor for the first time.
Yeah, there was a lot of that. Like there was a lot of that. People, really did not like to vote for Liberal, and they switched over. This whole loyalty to a party, people should not be loyal to the party. The party should be loyal to the people. And that's the problem with Trump. He expects everyone to be loyal to him. He should be loyal to them. He is a servant of the people. Okay, that's the way I see it. All of these politicians serve the people. They serve the people. We do not serve them. Okay, we agree to follow laws. We agree to do these things. We agree we've got certain obligations in society. We do not serve them. They serve us. They serve us. And if they don't like it, what are you doing there? Your job is not to hold power, you get elected, anything like that. Your job is to serve the people's interests. Always. And it makes me horrified that Trump and the Republican Party don't seem to think that anymore. They do not seem to think that anymore. They seem to think that the people are there to support their agenda or their platform, I guess. I mean, they've obviously got an agenda. They're a political party. I mean, they've got a platform that they're running on. But I mean, what was Trump's platform? Now, a platform is basically, it is the promises that you give before an election. It is the thing that you put as your intention to do once you are in power, right? Once you're in power, what you've said you're going to do is your platform, and then your policies are what comes out of it. Trump's platform was lower prices. He's still blaming Biden for that. He is literally still blaming Biden for the raised prices, even though his trade war has made them so much worse. He's still blaming Biden. He said that he would stop the war in Gaza, which has not happened. He said he'd stop the war in Ukraine. Has not happened. What has he actually done? What has this man done that was part of his platform? Nothing. Nothing. And he just goes out golfing all the time. Horrible. He's there to serve the people. The people aren't there to serve him.
I make this solemn pledge. We will not.
In fairness, he has kicked out a lot of immigrants, but he's also kicked out some American citizens as well. Right? We can't forget that Trump has kicked out American citizens, one of which was like a 6-year-old girl with cancer.
Not forget that. We will never take it for granted. Repaying your trust will drive our government each and every day of the next 3 years. The positive program we took to this election was shaped by the Australian people's priorities. And our government will dedicate the next 3 years to making a positive difference to your lives and to your future, bringing the rewards for your hard work within reach, investing in our youngest Australians, looking after older Australians, and building an economy and a society that is every bit as strong and fair, as resilient and generous as Australians are themselves.
Look, Adam, borders are important. There definitely is a fentanyl crisis. Part of what is imports into the country. It's just, going after illegal immigrants who are just keeping their heads down and trying to work is not going to solve the problems that America has with, fentanyl and imports and stuff. Most of it comes through legal ports of entry, like sort of, water ports kind of thing. Like, it's so silly. Like, if you're going to address a problem and then you do something that doesn't address it, like, what are you doing? Seriously, what are you doing? Like, what? Like, I get that he has to do something about that, but yeah.
From tomorrow, back at work. Maybe not everyone here. And that's probably for the best.
Yeah, I believe some drinks are being had by the Labor people on this. I mean, they just won an election, but I love that he made a joke about it. You know, like some people here won't be at work tomorrow, and that's probably for the best. Yeah, they're going to be a little hungover, and that's okay. I do like this guy.
We take up this task with new hope, new confidence, and new determination.
What do we know about borders? Our borders, like they're so hard to actually police, Greg. Like seriously, we have a lot of area and not a ton of people to do it. Okay, so we kind of know about borders. Yes, it's water borders instead of land borders, but we still have them. Like so, come on.
Because together we are turning the corner, and together we will make our way forward with no one held back and no one left behind.
Albo's volume is a bit low. Okay, let me see if I can boost this somehow. Okay. It's just the clapping is kind of loud, you know. So it kind of yeah.
Friends, I was raised to be an optimist. My mum had a hard life and we struggled financially. But she taught me to always be positive and see the best in people. When it comes to Australia's future, all of us have so much reason to be optimistic. Because when we look at everything going on around the world today, when we consider the changes that will shape the future of the global economy, when we think about our people and their smarts and skills, truly there's nowhere else you'd rather be than right here in Australia. This is a time of profound opportunity for our nation. We have everything we need to seize this moment and make it our own. And we must do it together, all of us, because for Australia to realise our full potential, for our nation to be its very best.
Yeah, and this is what really attracted people towards him. He's got a vision for the future where we embrace the opportunities that we have, that we have the resources, we have the technical expertise, and all we need is the will to carry it out, to be a technologically modern provider of renewable resources to everybody. Like the guy understands exactly what Australia's got going for it, because we've got a ton of these things and we're just not using them. Mostly, in my opinion, it is because the coal industry and the fossil fuel industry, and especially Gina Rinehart, are just holding us back. They don't want us to go into that renewables industry. And it is a horrible, horrible thing. We're perfectly positioned to take advantage of all of this, and we're not doing it because there are people with personal interests that we don't. And that sucks. That's terrible. It's just, why? Why? Because there's mining magnates who have an interest in coal that are just, don't want their stuff taken away. So the opposition basically proposed nuclear power. It's a non-starter. It won't get running for 10 years. We don't have the expertise. We've never done nuclear before, ever, right? We don't have the expertise. We don't have the capacity for it to enrich something, enrich uranium or plutonium or anything like it. We don't have the infrastructure, but what we do have can definitely do renewables. So I don't get the problem. Right, exactly. Like I was saying before, Alex, we've got areas that are nothing but sand and beating sun. And by beating sun, I mean it beat. Like the UV index of Australia is insane. And so, turning that disadvantage of having a high UV index into an advantage of, hey, high UV means lots of power. Let's do it. Let's do it.
Every Australian must have the opportunity to be their best, to serve our Australian values we must value every Australian, and Labor will govern for every Australian.
Right.
Every Australian who wants a fair go at work. Fair wages. Fair wages for their work and the right to disconnect when they're done with work.
Okay. So when's the last time you heard a president run on fair wages? Right? Fair wages. Yeah? It would be nice if a president won on fair wages, like just run on that. Biden, was he for increasing minimum wage? Okay, no, that's cool. That's fine. That's fine. But also, so he said the right to disconnect. Now that has become law in Australia. What does that mean? The right to disconnect. What it means is that when you are finished work and you're not being paid, a business cannot force you to work. Right. So remember how many times you've been at work and something's gone over or there's a problem. The right to disconnect is saying, hey, you're not paying me for this. I don't work. Right. I know I have had wages essentially stolen from me by, the business saying, hey, you have to show up at work 15 minutes early in order to get set up. But I'm not being paid for it. Right? Not being paid for it. That stops that, right? If you want someone there at work 15 minutes before their shift, you are paying them for it. And if you are at home and the boss calls you, what this is, think about this. What this is an anti-Lumberg law, right? No one in Australia is being Lumberged. You are not allowed to force people into work. Yeah, exactly, Alex. Exactly. Hey, can you come in? No, I'm not scheduled, and I have a right to disconnect from work. This is quality of life law, right? A quality of life law. And Lumberg from Office Space, where he's like, "Hey, I'm going to go ahead and get you to come in on Saturday, and then I'm going to have to go ahead and get you to come in on Sunday." No, that's actually illegal for you to enforce that. Someone can choose to do that as long as they're being paid for it. Sure, they can choose to do that, but you don't have a right to force them. It's illegal. Imagine that. It's illegal to force you into work. And and Andrew, that's what it causes. People don't answer their phones. People don't, pick up. And you shouldn't have to do that to miss out on calls from your family and friends and things like that, because you're basically compelled to go into work. It's crap. It's not right. And this whole thing about, oh, well, it's just a few emails, you can answer them at home. You're not being paid for that. You're not being paid for that.
Every Australian who deserves the security of a roof over their head or dreams of owning their own home. Every woman who wants her contribution to our economy and society to be valued equally.
Well, yeah, no, I get your Team OMB. It is a problem. Yeah, no, I get you. I get you.
Every parent who wants their child to get the best start in life with cheaper childcare and with fair funding for every student in every school. Everyone who counts on the National Disability Insurance Scheme.
So the National Disability Insurance Scheme is something that will provide a safety net for disabled people if they cannot work, essentially, if they're prevented from working from some kind of disability kind of thing. And it has been a hallmark of our country for ages. If somebody has a disability, we will support them and see if we can find them jobs that are more suitable to their disability. We will take care of each other. Doesn't matter who you are. Doesn't matter who you are. You don't have to be you know, my race, my sex, my religion, my anything. We will take care of you. That's what a society is. It is people taking care of people. Never forget that. You know, they want to convince you that that person over there is stealing your money because, you know, they can't work because they've got some kind of, you know, impairment or something. Come on. Stealing, really? Really? No. No, 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 no.
We will be a government for every Australian who wants to train or retrain for new skills and a good job at public TAFE.
So TAFE is basically a technical college that you can go to for free, essentially, public TAFE. You know, you may have other costs associated, but essentially you can retrain for stuff. It's a really good idea because we know that technology, that things change over time. It's an acknowledgement that, hey, in order to have a fully functioning workforce, you've got to retrain them for stuff. And this is what we're looking at with some of the mining industry, some of the things affected by automation. If you don't provide a way to change their occupation, you've just got people who are going unemployed and can't find work because they have nothing in their field. This is the consequence of modern technology in the modern age. It just is. Yeah, the NDIS, that's the National Disability Insurance Scheme. It was really good, Jessica. It just, the Liberal Party, the more conservative party, really made it terrible. Like, they privatized a lot of these companies and providers that are supporting the people on this scheme. So I think that they didn't like it. So they kind of set it up to fail. Like, you know, they kind of set it up so it wasn't effective. And I think that is on purpose. I am hopeful under Labor they'll be able to do some stuff to you know, improve the system, because the system with, you know, all of these privatizations of services, like, seriously, what are you doing? You're privatizing supporting disabled people. That should not be a business. Like, come on. We don't have hearings for that, man. I don't know what that's all about. Does Australia use executive orders to? No. There's no such thing as executive orders in Australia. The Prime Minister has certain powers that he uses, mostly sort of federal things and control over, you know, allocating resources to emergencies and all kinds of things, because each will have their own portfolio, but they can't just circumvent legislation. No. There is no way to circumvent legislature. You can't just do that. If the Prime Minister did something against the law, he would be removed. That would be a risky proposition for a Prime Minister. Because, oh yeah, the people can't remove him instantly. His party sure can. They absolutely can. Don't forget, it isn't a matter of the Prime Minister's there forever. Like, if the party decides to remove him, they can remove him.
Every Australian who works hard for the life-changing opportunity of higher education and wants 20% cut for their student debt. Every Australian who knows that climate change is a challenge we must act together to meet for the future of our environment.
Yeah, mentioning climate change was really good on, you know, I think that it has to be addressed. He reinstated the 2050 target of net neutral carbon, which is fantastic. You know, going from sort of fossil fuel, gas and coal power into nuclear, when you have no nuclear development, is such a waste of freaking time. Like, everybody knew it. Even his own party knew it. I don't understand why the opposition even suggested it. It's a non-starter. We do not have the expertise in nuclear. And what I see Greg comment, hang on. Greg, did you say like we would okay, and you promise not to make weapons with this? Okay, pinky swear. No, look, Australia's been against nuclear weapons and any nuclear power for ages, Greg. That's the thing. You don't understand Australia. We were even really upset about the AUKUS deal with nuclear submarines. We don't even like nuclear submarines. For a long time, America was not allowed to berth their nuclear submarines at our docks, even though we're allies. We are that opposed to them. Now, the major reason we are opposed to them is because of a little place in Australia called Maralinga. Now, Maralinga was an area that the British, the good old motherland, basically tested nuclear weapons at, because they didn't want to do it in England, right? That's England. So they did it out in the middle of Australia. And there were some native Aboriginals that were affected, and it's horrible. It's horrible. Once that came out, no nuclear. People are really opposed to nuclear over here. So we have no nuclear weapons. We're proud to have no nuclear weapons. You know, we don't want it. We don't want it. We do not want nuclear weapons. They're pointless. They're absolutely pointless.
And knows the fact that renewable energy is an opportunity we must work together to seize
Yep.
for the future of our economy. We will be.
Yeah, Jin, that was horrifying, mate. That's horrifying. He doesn't know if he's supposed to. Yeah, that is the most horrific thing I've heard from President. Like, no, I get what you're saying, mate. It's horrifying. Absolutely, I 100% agree.
Government that supports reconciliation with First Nations people, because we will be a stronger nation when we close the gap between Indigenous and non-Indigenous Australians. And friends, we will be a government that relies and helps every Australian who relies on Medicare.
Okay, so Medicare, that is our public medical service. It is free medical treatment for everyone. It has, over the last few Conservative governments, taken a bit of a rocking. He's going to basically strengthen it again, which I'm so happy about. Yeah, it you know, it basically it's so important to us that we have this medical safety net. And at the moment, the US is putting pressure on us to remove it. So we've got something called the PBS, or the Pharmaceutical Benefits Scheme, which basically the government can use leverage as one customer to get drugs reduced, and then it basically offsets the cost of those. And we're getting pressure to, you know, take it away. No, absolutely not. Like, the government, our government isn't there to tell the people what they want. Okay? That is not the case. It is not the government's place to tell the people what they want. It sure as shit isn't some other government's place to tell us what we want. No way. What are you talking about? Yeah, if you are in straits, you can find bulk bill doctors as well, Jess, that they don't charge anything, basically. I know there's less of them around. Albo has promised to increase the amount of bulk bill doctors around. Yeah, no, but the idea that another government is going to, you know, another government who is just a chaotic mess is going to tell us what we're going to do. Like, fix your own fucking country, mate, for coming and telling us what to do. Jeez, I don't know. It's just it's wild. It's wild. It doesn't really even affect them. Like, come on now. This is Albo's Medicare card. We've all got a Medicare card. It's basically how you keep track of through the Medicare system. So it's just a government issued card. Everybody gets one. You're either on your parents for a while, you get your own. it's no great big deal. It keeps track of all your medical records, kind of thing, so they can be moved around and digitized and things like that. Wisely, Albo is like, this is the thing. This is how I know Albo is smarter than Trump. He's covering his Medicare number. Fair call. Fair call.
This card is not Labor red or Liberal blue. It is green and gold.
Okay, so the green and gold comment is basically the Olympic colours for Australia are green and gold. They're kind of seen as sort of national colours. So Labor obviously is the red party, Liberal is the blue party. Kind of, he's basically saying, hey, this medical system should be independent of politics, and I 100% agree. Yeah, no, I heard about that, Adam, and that is tragic, mate. And it's tragic when you start to understand that they're like taking the achievements of black people out of the records. Like, it is horrific. It is horrific. Yeah, it shows that it was his actual Medicare card. I wonder when they decided to do that, Jess. Maybe like last minute, he's like, hey, I'll hold up my Medicare card. Actually, that might be a bad idea. Oh, I'll just cover the number. What the hell? It's fine. Whatever. Like, it's just...
It is a declaration of our national values in our national colours. Medicare belongs to all Australians, and together we will make it stronger for all Australians. Friends, I stand here tonight as the proud leader of an extraordinary team. I stood on the hallowed turf of the G this morning, doing live crosses, making that point. I want to thank all of my colleagues, beginning with my friend, our incredible Deputy Prime Minister.
Yeah, I think he's just going through a few thank yous here. I'll try to skip past it.
Her deputy got a bit of a shared party tonight, and Berkey's here, the member for in every seat, who put up their hand, gave up their time for our cause and their community. And if you excuse me for singling out one of them, who ran for a third time in Dixon.
Oh, in Dixon. So Dixon is the opposition seat, right? So the opposition leader is the leader of the other party. That is Peter Dutton, or was Peter Dutton. Peter Dutton lost his seat. So it wasn't just that these guys won and they got twice the seats, over twice the seats of the other guys, which is an absolute slaughter politically, kind of thing. It is absolutely phenomenal result that Sky News continues to say is close for some reason. The person running against Dutton is a amputee and a athlete, a para athlete. And Dutton made some comments about her. She didn't live in the area, but she was trying to find housing for somebody in there. It's just awful. So the fact that she won is just amazing. And she cost the leader his seat. So unlike America, if you don't have a seat, you can't be in government or part of the state at all. You can't do any legislative process at all, and you're not the leader of the party anymore. He's basically been booted out. What was her name? Seat of Dixon. I've forgotten her name. I looked this up the other day. Ali France. Yeah, Ali France. And it wasn't even that close. That's the thing. It's the first time that a leader of a party has been ousted. Now, this is very similar to what happened in Canada, where the leader of the opposition lost his seat, but he kind of muscled somebody out for theirs, which is just disgraceful, to be honest with you. Canada 50, Australia 60th. Yeah, good luck with that one, mate. Yeah. Look, nobody wants Australia. Like, come on, man. Like, you think you could put up with this? Please. We can't even put up with this, mate. There's no chance you would.
People are great, most of whom are here tonight.
Yeah, he's still doing thank yous.
It's 29 years and 10 elections ago. I've lived in this community in the inner west my whole life, and it's an incredible privilege to serve a community that you love, and I do love it.
Yeah, and so his background, he actually grew up in the sort of moderate inner city. His mother was a single mother. His father was of Italian descent, who sort of I think he knocked her up and went back to Italy, as far as I can understand it. So he grew up a single mother, did really well, made a name for himself. So he didn't come from some rich place, mate. He came from a really working class family. You know, like, there is nothing blue blood about this guy. Basically, this guy, apparently he went back to Italy to meet his father, and apparently he has a really good relationship with him now. You know, like, got along with them, met some cousins he didn't know about. You know, I just want to sort of say that, hey, somebody that you know, can go and meet the father that they never knew and forgive them and have a relationship. And, you know, I mean, that is a really strong and awesome guy that can go, okay, well, I want to know my father. I don't hold it against him. You know, it's just, what a great guy this is. Like, even if you know, he's a terrible politician, he's still a good guy. And maybe that's what we got to have, some more good people, rather than, you know, just politicians. Like, it doesn't matter if they're a politician. Are they a good person? Why don't we see any of that over there? So, yeah, horrible. Mind you, I mean, Australia's done its share of idiots before. Like, Scott Morrison was an idiot. You know, like, he really was a horrible guy. Tony Abbott was an absolutely horrible guy. You know, we've had our fair share of misses as well. Just, you know, what's important, what's really important, is that you go, well, what's the problem here? And you don't lie to yourself about it. Don't lie to yourself and go, oh, yeah, the economy's not going well, but it's all Biden's fault. Come on, we know why the economy's going badly. It's because of the trade war that's going on. It's not rocket science, okay? Don't lie to yourself. Be honest with yourself. At least do that, and then you can start to work on, well, who's going to be the best person for this place? It may not be the person you want, but the best person of the options that you have, at least do something.
To the Labor Party's heart and soul, our rank and file members and the mighty trade union movement of Australia.
Like I said, trade union movement is big in Australia. I've told people this and they're like, oh yeah, no. The unions are big in Australia. And it doesn't mean they're perfect. Okay, the CFMEU just got closed, sort of thing, for being, you know, corruption and stuff. Fair call. The unions are corrupt. We got to get rid of them. Absolutely. Absolutely. But if the union is simply doing the best for their workers, leave them alone. Leave them alone. Absolutely. Unions are the counterbalance to corporate forces. Yes, there can be problems with unions, but there can be problems with corporate structures as well. Like, we can't just go, well, let's get rid of all of them, right? We get rid of what's bad. If some are working for the best, then keep them. There's this all or nothing that is horrible.
The Labor Party will always stand up for jobs and people's wages and conditions.
Yep.
Everywhere I have been through this campaign, your energy, your enthusiasm, your dedication to the cause has lifted me up. You inspire all of us in your service of working people, and we thank you.
Yeah, do you notice the difference between this guy and Trump? I just want to point that out. How much is he talking about people, right? Like all of the Australian people. Trump does nothing but talks about himself. I mean, the only people he talks about are the ones that think he's great, you know?
To our magnificent campaign director, National Secretary Paul Erickson, led by Tim Gartrell. Run into a fine young man who I am just so proud of. Thank you. And to my fiance.
Yeah, I mean, he was his part. She was his partner. He wasn't married to her when he was prime minister. Oh, the scandal! Who cares? Who bloody cares? Like seriously, like this is the thing, right? Yeah. Well, I mean, I've had to turn it up. It's not a great audio quality, whatever. I mean, it's a speech in an open auditorium, and I'm not sure what you're expecting. The thing is, like, if you've got a political figure and they're unmarried, or they're married to the same sex person, that should be the least of your worries on their job performance. Like, seriously, we've got to stop going, oh, well, this person has this thing that I don't like. If they're doing their job well and properly, that's it. That's it. That's all that matters. If you go to work and someone is trans and they do a good job, shut the fuck up. Seriously. They're doing a good job. Nothing else matters. It doesn't affect you, doesn't affect your family, doesn't affect your life. Just shut the fuck up. This guy was living in sin with a woman for his I don't care. I care if he's making the country better or worse. I care if he's making my life better or worse. I don't care what he's doing apart from that. It's his business. I don't care. Like, it's time to stop doing this.
Which matters. You have my heart. I love you, and I look forward to living our lives together.
Oh, come on, Albo. That was a peck on the cheek. Give her a real kiss, mate. Go on, get in there. I'm joking. Look, it must be awkward. It must be awkward. I get it. You know.
My fellow Australians, Australians have chosen the Australian Labor Party as their government. And our government will choose the Australian way because we are proud of who we are and all that we have built together in this country. We did not need to beg or borrow or copy from anywhere else.
Okay, that is a dig at the US. It is, well, it's more a dig at the other party really taking some of their policies from the US. We don't need them. No. No. Immigrants are our strength. 100%. They are 100% our strength. Absolutely. This thing of government efficiency slashing it, we don't need it. No, thank you. You want to destroy your institutions? Not us. No, that's not our cause. America spent so long building these institutions, and it takes one idiot to like absolutely hog-tie them. It's ridiculous.
Do you not see our inspiration overseas? We find it right here in our values and in our people. Tomorrow we dedicate ourselves to your service. We renew the great responsibility and the opportunity of government, and with pride and purpose, optimism and determination, with faith in the fair go and faith in each other, we return to the work of building Australia's future.
Okay, so that's basically the speech. And just to talk about Australia and Australians for a second. Yeah, we're kind of a pretty happy people. We're jokey, we joke around a lot. There are lines in the sand with Australians, right? There's things that we will absolutely not accept. Um, Australia is a very kind of relaxed, laid back kind of place. People are pretty okay with everything. You want to do that, that's your problem, mate. No worries, no worries at all. You go do it. We're kind of very accepting of other people and other cultures and other things. Um, yeah, and he will drink a few beers with you in the pub. Yeah, absolutely. That was the Aussie Man interview. I have no doubt that that made a big difference because he's just a bloke. He's just a guy, and that's the thing to remember. Your president is not special. Okay, he's not. I know you think he's special. He's not. He is simply the servant of the people that has been placed at the top. That is all. He's not special. He's not magical. He's not better than you. He's just a guy. That's it. But so is everybody else, right? But Australians have lines in the sand. When you start to do certain things, you'll see how stubborn and obnoxious we can be. Like it is absolutely true. When he keeps mentioning determination, he's not joking. He's absolutely not joking. Australians can be the most stubborn people on earth when certain things are on the line. So, he's really tapped into the Australian zeitgeist there. What we think of ourselves, what we do with ourselves. This whole idea of a fair go. Yeah, it's basically if you want to go, like everybody gets treated equally. We are all equal stakeholders in this country. Everybody. That includes the people who are disabled. That includes trans people. That includes women. That includes men. That includes the homeless. That includes immigrants. Everybody. Everybody is an equal stakeholder because it matters just as much to someone who's an immigrant as to me what happens to this country. Okay, there's absolutely no doubt that this idea of equality, I think that America could learn a lot from Australia. And don't get me wrong, Australia can learn a lot from America. Like this whole thing of not sort of taking a laid back approach and actually standing up for to try and achieve more. I think it's really admirable that Americans, what's the word, strive so much. They won't try to go for first base. They will shoot for home, right? They will take it 100% all or nothing. And it's admirable. But at the same time, there's things that are less admirable. And so, going all around the world, you can find different cultures with all kinds of different things to offer. It's absolutely amazing, how if we all work together, the different perspectives that we can have, it makes us stronger, not weaker. The immigrants in America, they make the country stronger, not weaker. Now that they're throwing out all of these illegal immigrants, the system's become weaker. The economic power of America has become weaker. This can't just be, well, we're going to do this because we feel like it, or it's some kind of weird, wacky reason. It has to be good for the people. And this is not good for the people. It's the people that I care about, the people of America. The government at the moment, they can go get fucked as far as I'm concerned. And, I usually don't swear, but what are they doing? What are they doing? I don't know. It doesn't shock me that a leader has stood up and essentially declared himself king of America. It doesn't shock me. Like I said, Americans have an all or nothing mentality. They're going to shoot for broke. What shocks me is that one of those parties, actually both of those parties, let's not differentiate, both of them haven't done anything about it. That's what shocks me. Oh, nothing we can do. What do you mean there's nothing you can do? The legislative is an equal branch of government, as is the judiciary. Do something. Freaking what was his name? The leader of the Democrats sitting there with his glasses, going, "Well, if he passes 40% approval rating, then things will get serious." Have things gotten serious? It's past 40. Oh no, we're biding our time. Don't bide your time. Like seriously, this is ridiculous. I I don't know. I'm sorry. It's just I really the harm being done to people is unconscionable. They deported a 6-year-old with cancer who's an American citizen. That is just unfathomable. It's incredible. Absolutely incredible. Anyway, I'm sorry. I have friends from America. I consider a lot of people in my community as my friends. A lot of people are doing content from America. Nick's audience came over from In Time. Love Nick. He's a great guy, a good person. There's so many good people in America. And so I don't consider the government reflective of the people, because there are good people. They are. um it's just a real shame. I do like what AOC's been saying. Like, she has actually been yelling, and she was threatened by the government, saying, hey, if she teaches people their constitutional rights, immigrants their constitutional rights, maybe she's impeding ICE in their thing. And they're basically saying, hey, you could be arrested for telling illegal immigrants what their rights are under the Constitution. Yeah. And she said, come at me, bro, which I love. I absolutely love it. It's that line in the sand where, hey, we will give you the freedom to do whatever until you start harming people. And then no, absolutely not. Cut it out. You are not the ruler of this country. You're a servant of the people. Yeah, look, Pinworm, if I was in America, I would vote for her, quite frankly. I think she's going to be the president one day, because she really taps into what is important to people, to ordinary people. And I think that if you're in America and you haven't enrolled to vote, or registered to vote or whatever, I highly recommend it. And if you think politics, it doesn't matter and has no effect on your life, look at what's happened with this trade war. It has affected everybody. Everybody. So if you're wondering why eggs are so high, and why, you can't buy presents for your children at Christmas because the prices are too high, then politics does matter to you. It does. Yeah, and that's a concern. That's a concern. That's a concern, Adam. I get you. That is a concern, and it's wild. It is wild. But anyway, I'm going to call it there. That was the victory speech from, as we call him, Albo, Anthony Albanese, because Australians are weird. We'll shorten everything long and we'll lengthen everything short. You just accept it. Okay, that's just how we are. But yeah, Albo's fantastic. He really is. I love the sort of coming together of he's the prime minister for all Australians, not just corporate interests, not just certain interests. I think he's really this optimism of, hey, we've got a changing landscape, industrial landscape. We're going to be headed towards renewables. That's a given. That is absolutely where things are going. I love it. I think that he's embracing, the way things are going. Things are going to be automated. That is just a reality. It is impossible to deal with the problems of the future if you will not accept the reality of the present. It is impossible. Don't be like that. Accept what is in front of you. Mining jobs are probably, going to go down. Like Trump promising, the coal miners, he'll give them back their jobs. Did he do so? No. But that was never going to happen anyway. It was never going to happen anyway. So yeah, I really think that we've got to understand that the future will be automation, renewables, technology. It's going to be a more connected world as well. It is going to be a matter of, if you do certain things and annoy your neighbors, things are going to go badly because you're going to be more connected and dependent on them. That's just the way it's going to go. It's accepting that reality. So this isolationist policy of the US is completely antithetical to the way that the world is going to go. It's going to go that way with or without you. That's just the reality. So have policy for it. Guide yourself into it in a good position. Provide for your people. You know, not deny it's happening. It's not going to get you anywhere because it's going to happen with or without you. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me. This was a bit of a lighter one. I did bitch a bit, but not too much. But yeah, I like Albo. I think he's a good choice. Not my first choice. That's okay. That's okay. He's not my first choice, but that's okay. I did get the member that I voted for elected, which is great. She's not Labor, it's fine. It's absolutely fine. But thank you all for joining me. And do take care of yourself. Be kind to yourself. Be kind to yourself. Look, if you need to unplug from this and politics and stuff, totally understand. Absolutely. Please do so. Please do so. You really need to, because it can get overwhelming. Absolutely. But, maybe look around the world and see things that you would like things to be. Like, I mean, if we could get the education system of Finland, I'd be overjoyed. They do fantastic with what they do. Sweden does fantastic with immigration policy. Norway does fantastic with its treatment of alcohol. They've basically got a government-run alcohol service, right? So you can't just have manufacturers taking advantage of people's addiction to alcohol. It's a great system. It is fantastic. And they can monitor when people are buying too much alcohol and say, hey, we need to help you. This is how a country should operate for its people, not the people operate for the government, okay? Be kind to each other. Take care. And I will see you in the next one. Bye, everybody.
This old switchboard could talk. Wow. Your ears would sizzle. 1880. We take Alexander Graham Bell's invention for granted today. Perhaps we should. But isn't it incredible that millions and millions of people can talk simultaneously to practically any spot on Earth